cable's too short. I miscalculated something because these bolts are hitting the frame. Ah! The primary just turned off for some reason. This is not a good sign, guys. The gaming monitor of your dreams is finally here, and the best part is you don't need to sell a kidney to afford one. Whether you're a competitive gamer or a casual gamer, ViewSonic has the perfect display for you. The XG2736 2K is the bigger stepbrother that features a 27-inch 1440p IPS display with a staggering 240Hz refresh rate and blazing fast 0.5 milliseconds response time, which is perfect for the casual gamer that wants to enjoy their games in a higher resolution, but also take advantage of the higher refresh rates. The XG2536 is the smaller stepbrother that features a 25-inch 1080p IPS display, but with a much higher 280Hz refresh rate that's catered for the more competitive gamers out there. Both displays feature a beautiful, color-accurate IPS panel with exceptional viewing angles, RGB accents in the back that you can change, and it comes with a 65-watt quick-charging USB-C port that also offers fast data, audio, and video transfers, perfect for connecting a laptop or other compatible devices. So level up your setup and pick one up today by clicking the link below. Okay, so here is where we left off from the previous episode. For those who are tuning in, I'll give you a quick recap of what we've done so far. In episode 1, we've designed this one-of-a-kind custom floating frame, and I took the designs to a local welding shop and had that custom welded. I then hooked up my water-cooled PC on the wall, then I modded some gear with some paint, and now I'm working on the final piece of the puzzle, the headboard installation. In the last episode, I've installed all the VESA mounts in the back of all 4 displays, and now it's time to drill the holes for the monitor mounts. There's actually one more thing I need to add to the headboard before I start drilling stuff in there, and that is a dedicated spot for my Elgato key lights. So this is the wireless key light from Elgato. Doesn't need any cables to power on, which is really awesome. And I want to mount these right over here on the side, basically one on each side of the primary monitor. And this will be powerful enough to essentially light up my face or the room during my streams. I'm not looking to start like a streaming career or anything, but you know, I do still have a passion for gaming, and I do want a place where I can just kind of take a break from YouTube and play games online and hang out with you guys and interact with you guys as well. So once this setup is done, I do want to start going back into streaming a little bit more consistently, maybe like once a week to start off and see how things go from there. So that is why these key lights are essential, along with the face cam, of course. But check out this big brain mod that I've concocted with these key lights, okay? So I went on Amazon and I found this articulating arm, super cheap, by the way, and I figured out a way to attach this not only on the headboard to give me freedom of moving around the key light for the perfect angle, but also I've developed a really cool mounting mechanism. So I found this MagSafe mount on Amazon, which is magnetic, but in the back, it's got a camera thread. I think it's a 1/4-inch thread. And this is essentially going to attach on the articulating arm, as you can see, and I attached a magnetic ring on the back of the Elgato key light. So now, if I need to detach this to charge it, bam, as simple as that. It is extremely powerful, so it's not gonna go anywhere. But the whole purpose of this is to make the detaching extremely convenient. So essentially when I'm done with the streams, or let's say the battery is really low, all I gotta do is detach it from the mount, plug it in, juice it up, and then slap it back on. I just gotta find that perfect angle to where I can hide the base of the mount somewhere behind the monitor so it's not that visible. Luckily, I have complete freedom on adjusting the arm any way I like. So you can kind of just tuck it away down here, but I can also pull it out to like here. I think this is perfect actually. Oh yeah, this is it. This is the spot. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, like right there is good. Okay, so one final look. It's gonna go like this. Yeah, that's perfect actually. Let's go with that. Using the markings I made for each mount in the last episode, I proceeded to mark the location of the holes. Then I pulled out my drill bit set and picked the correct size I needed for the bolt to pass through. Usually I just place the bolt right on the drill bit to see which size would be the best fit, and I usually go one size higher than the matching bit to ensure the bolt goes through smoothly. So in this case, I'm using a 5/16 drill bit. After drilling in the holes, I use my handy portable vacuum cleaner to clean up the sawdust. Then I bring in the first mount and pass the bolt through the mount itself and the headboard, and I secure it in place using a washer and a nut from the opposite side. Then I proceed to drill in the holes for the other 3 mounts. Did I tell you how cool this portable vacuum is, by the way? Not only does it suck really well, but it blows too. And I'll leave a link below if anyone is interested in picking one up. All right, Eddie boy, it is time to stream. We got our key light. Let's go ahead and attach it on here. Power it on. This is max brightness, by the way. It is really, really bright. I feel like one should be suffice, but you know, symmetry reasons, obviously we gotta have a second one. And this thing is not moving. Look at that. Okay, we are done with the stream. Let's turn this off. Bam! Detach it. Juice it up, and we are ready to go. Obviously symmetry is life, so I have to make sure both mounts are at equal distances from each other and from the edge of the headboard. Okay, so both mounts are installed. Now we are ready to make the holes for our cable grommets. This part is extremely crucial because we got to make sure that the hole is the exact size of our grommets. That way this fits nice and snug. So I have my hole saw drill bits over here. The only one that's as close as I can get to this, which I believe is 1.5 inches, I'm not exactly sure, is this one over here. This one looks like it would be almost a very tight fit. We might have to sand the edges just so it slides in, but the next big option is this one, which is way too big, and you can tell because this easily fits in. Very loose. We don't like it loose, we like it tight here. So we have to go with this one. All right, unfortunately I gotta go charge the battery. I'll be right back.
1 hour later.
Come on, baby, you can do it. I believe in you. Oh, that's a really tight fit. I'm sure if I sand the edges, okay, now it's not coming out. No! I'm sure if I sand the inside just a little bit, it should be able to go in, or if I just hammer it in, to be honest, but better to be safe than sorry. So the goal was to drill one hole near every device. Each monitor will have its own hole to pass through the cables, and the holes will be done as close to the ports as possible so that the monitor will overlap it and covering it from the front. Okay, so I just finished drilling in 4 of the holes in the headboard to pass through the cables, and then I realized we forgot to drill the hole for the speakers. If you guys look at the render, the speaker sits between the bottom display and the vertical display, and I don't want to route the cable kind of across to this hole over here because you can see the cable going across from the speaker to the bottom monitor. So I feel like we can make an extra hole on each side to pass through just the speaker cables. All right, so the speakers are gonna go kind of here in this area, and they're gonna be tilted up using my stand. So let's go ahead and mark it somewhere in this area. But let's make it even on both sides. So we'll do 24 inches from the side of the headboard, just so we have perfect symmetry. And then from the bottom, we could do, let's do 2 inches, because they'll be tilted upwards. So the connections are gonna be facing downward. So I feel like 2 inches from the bottom is perfect. Bam, there it is. There is our spot right there. X marks the spot. This next step is extremely crucial and probably the most important step of building this entire setup, the process of mounting the headboard to the frame. You see, when I designed the frame, I came up with a pretty cool solution of mounting the headboard against the frame. If you look closely at the render, you can see these brackets on both sides, and inside the bracket is a long vertical cutout. The way the headboard gets mounted against the frame is through these vertical cutouts. One bolt and washer will go in from the front, and one bolt and washer goes in from the rear, securing the headboard in place. But how do I know where to drill the holes? Well, that's easy. I used a laser to mark the center point of the vertical cutout. I then measured 9 inches from the edge of the headboard, and I marked that on both sides. It was basic math, and I was extremely confident of my calculations. Or so I thought. Okay, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, you guys, but we are pretty much done prepping the headboard. The only thing I gotta do is give it a nice clean wipe to get rid of the red markings and stuff. But other than that, we are now ready to go inside and prep the custom frame so that we can bring the headboard inside and mount it against it. We're almost there, guys. We are almost at the finish line. Now, before I reveal my first major error, there were some prepping that was needed inside before I brought over the headboard, like planning where the power strips are going to and which cables are going through which holes. I won't bore you guys to death with a full planning, but in essence, the setup has 3 power strips, one full strip with 6 outlets and 2 smaller ones with 3 outlets. All 4 monitors, along with my speakers and PC, are plugged into the 6 outlet power strip. The second power strip will have both of my Elgato LED strips on the headboard, plus the RGB lines that will go on the wall later. The third and final power strip will have my Corsair 7-port USB hub and my other Elgato strip that goes underneath the desk. The 2 smaller power strips will live behind the headboard, while the bigger power strip will be attached underneath the desk. Since the Elgato LED strip is magnetic, I was able to attach it alongside the inner frame. This way it won't be visible from the front, but still give me a beautiful soft underglow underneath the desk. Also, since both horizontal beams have a 1-inch cutout, I'm able to take advantage of this and hide all the excess cable slack inside of it. So with all that said, it was time for the climax. I'm a little nervous, guys. Almost 5 months leading up to this point in time. Oh, a lot of work has gone into this. A lot of work, way more than my previous setup. I will tell you this much. This one is way more advanced, but we only got one shot to make this right. So I guess let's see what happens. That's it. Off by a little bit. Yeah, this one goes in. What about that one?
No.
It's off. The problem is this. I miscalculated something because these bolts are hitting the frame. Oh man, I forgot to measure the outer portion. That's why there's not enough clearance. Problem is the vertical monitor mount is a little too off to the right side, and it's coming in contact with the outer piece of the vertical frame, and I guess I miscalculated that. So the second issue is this is way too high up. I forgot to measure the vertical spacing on the frame. I don't know why I didn't take that into calculation. Clearly it doesn't go all the way up here. So we're gonna have to drill another hole down here, but that's not the hardest part. That's actually the easiest part. The hardest part is now we have to move this either inwards or outwards, but I don't know how much we can do without making the vertical monitors look awkward, because this was perfectly measured so that we have just the right spacing between the vertical display and the speaker. If we move it too close, it might overlap the speaker, but if we move it too back, then we're gonna have a bigger gap. So it's a lose-lose situation, but let me first screw this in here, make sure this headboard is secured. Speaker goes here. It's not bad. I guess we can move the monitor mount more inside. I should have used the other mount to see if the cable is even long enough. This cable's too short. Ah! This is so annoying, man. And then what? Take the PC down? Do it all over again? No. If we put it back there, it'll be too far. Yeah, the only choice is to bring it inside. I think we'll have to take this apart. Okay, so the distance between the inner vertical beam to the edge of the headboard is 12 inches. That is where I can drill without coming into contact with the frame itself. So let's just mark 12 inches here, here. Okay, so anywhere on that red line is where I can drill the new holes for the vertical monitor. So this is gonna push us like 3-4 inches to the right. Unfortunately, that's the only option. We definitely can't push it to the left. This is as far as we can get without having a noticeable gap between the speakers. So we have to bring it closer. All right, let's use a laser to get the same exact height. This is far from ideal, but unfortunately, we have no choice at this point. I'm gonna have to cover up these holes eventually, which is the easiest part. I'm not too concerned about that. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and just secure the bottom one for now, just so it doesn't collapse on my head. Okay, so we got that. Okay, now we have to do the same thing on this side. If calculations are correct, they should also be 12 inches. Right on the money, baby. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so now that both of the vertical mounts have been fixed, we can now move on to drilling the second hole for the headboard. I did measure from the back. We are off by only an inch. So theoretically, all I gotta do is measure an inch down and then make the second hole and we should be good to go. Obviously, I'm gonna use a laser to make sure that we stay as straight as possible. You know what, let's do 1.5 inches just to be on the safe side. So right there is where we wanna be. Let's do a quick pilot hole. Beautiful. We are straight through. Oh yeah, that's perfect. All right, now ready for the big drill. Oh yeah, baby, went straight through. In a perfect world, you know, everything would have gone according to plan, but this is reality, unfortunately, so it is what it is. Beautiful. There you have it, ladies and gents. We are finally back on track. We lost all the sunlight doing this, but nonetheless, I'm very happy with the progress. Everything has been corrected. We covered all the big holes with these 1-inch circle stickers, and I ordered 1/2-inch stickers for the smaller holes, but you can't really see it from a distance, so that will be a temporary fix until I figure out a better alternative. I also ended up drilling one more hole on the bottom here just so we can split up the cables. I feel like having a bunch of cables come out of one hole was gonna be very messy. So I'm like, whatever, screw it. Let me just do one more on the bottom, strictly for the Stream Deck and my audio interface. Also for the switch to power on the PC. Also, what's very unfortunate with the short HDMI cable, this is clearly not gonna reach the monitor, so I ordered an extension cable from Amazon. It'll be here in the next few days. But with that said, I think it's finally time to hook up our monitors. Oh, I should have done the ultra at first, actually. This desk is so freaking wide, dude. Oh, my days. Wow, that was tough. Holy crap. Okay, yeah, that's definitely gonna bother the living crap out of me. Why did I not think of this? Maybe I should have made another hole just for the face cam. That would have been way too many holes. Okay, like even for me, that's just a lot of holes. Maybe I should have put one on the top of the primary monitor. So then if I route it downwards, it is what it is. I can't go back now. That will be for version 3. I will make that change for sure. I think in the meantime, just for a temporary fix, I can buy a very thin white cable sleeve and just wrap it. That way it blends in with the headboard. But yeah, other than that, not much I can do there, unfortunately. All right, everyone. Everything has led up to this one point in time. The moment of truth. Come on, baby. Yes. We got the primary display. Off to a good start. We got the Elgato Stream Deck. My audio interface is lighting up. Okay. Let's keep it going. That's weird. Okay, we got the second. This one's obviously off. I'm still waiting for the cable extension, so I'm not worried about that. But the primary just turned off for some reason. Not exactly sure why this shut off. It was working a second ago. Let's check the display settings. It does recognize it. We got 1, 2, and I guess this one, the primary is supposed to be 3, but it's not turning on for some reason. This is not a good sign, you guys. So after troubleshooting for another hour with no luck, I've decided to do some research, and I came across this Reddit post that had the same exact issue I was having, and upon reading further, I discovered about display headers. Basically, each graphics card has 4 display headers and 4 ports in the back. You can use one port and connect one display, meaning you can run up to 4 monitors on a single GPU. However, some monitors use up more than one display header, leaving your GPU with not enough headers to plug in the rest of your monitors. So I decided to test this by disconnecting my left monitor, which freed up one display header on the GPU. And well, what do you know? The primary turned on. It seems like both my top and bottom monitors are using up 2 display headers each, meaning I can only plug in those 2 monitors at the same time, or only one of them plus both of my verticals. So So the question is, how can you tell which monitors use up 2 display headers? Well, according to the post on Reddit, if you're running a 4K 240Hz monitor, then that uses up 2 headers. But that wasn't the case with mine. You see, the top ultrawide also uses up 2 headers, but it's not a 4K monitor. It's a wide Quad HD with a 240Hz refresh rate. So my theory is that anything above 2560 by 1440p 240Hz will use up 2 headers on your graphics card. But I could be wrong. I just can't seem to find any additional information about this online. Maybe someone has experienced this before and can let me know in the comment section down below. So this means my OLED monitor up top is useless to me. So I ordered a cheaper LG monitor that uses only 1 header as a replacement temporarily until I rebuild my system in the next few months, featuring the new RTX 5090, and then I can upgrade back to OLED. Tell me why, after 13 years of building PCs and setups, that I'm coming across this issue today. Okay, I've never heard of display headers up until today, guys, and chances are some of you watching this video also never heard about it. So we're gonna be learning about it together. And this is coming from someone who had 4 monitors hooked up to a single GPU. So this is why this is all new to me. But when you think about it, it does make sense, right? Like, we never had this problem before because 4K 240Hz monitors are still relatively new. We never really reached the graphics card's limitations, right? Like, how many people are running 4K 240Hz monitors in their setup? Let's be realistic, right? But as time goes on and those monitors become more affordable, we're gonna be experiencing these issues. And there's only 2 solutions to this. Number 1, we install a second graphics card, which gives us 4 additional display headers to work with. But clearly that's not gonna be an option here because I have a custom loop going on. Not only is it mounted on the wall, but the graphics card is blocking the PCI lanes. It's in a vertical orientation, which is the only way you can install it on this case. So we are throwing that out the window. The second option is to plug one of your monitors in the back of your motherboard using the integrated graphics card of your CPU. And I feel like that's the only option I have here right now. So luckily for me, I do have a single HDMI port in the back of my motherboard, and my 14900K does have an integrated graphics chip. So when my monitor comes in, all I gotta do is plug one end of the HDMI cable. I'm gonna run the cable straight down. You're not gonna even be able to see it because the ultrawide is essentially blocking the bottom part of the PC anyways. So I'll run the cable down into the back of the headboard, and then we're gonna plug it into the ultrawide. Now the hard part is providing power to the ultrawide. And for that, I'm gonna have to remove everything off the desk, remove all the monitors, detach one portion of the headboard so that I can run the power cable behind the headboard. So that's gonna be the toughest part. But this is good. This is really good because I want you guys to see what I go through if I ever need to upgrade or replace a part. This is gonna be like the perfect example to show you guys how much work goes into building a setup like this. And I don't regret it. Even till now, like even after all these years, I don't regret it for a single second because this is what makes this setup stand out. It is very difficult to replicate. No sane person would want to build something like this because of the hassle and the amount of pain they go through in order to swap something out, okay? My setup stands out from everyone else's in the world because of this. And I'm happy with that. So the next day, the HDMI extension cable has arrived, so I plugged that into the right vertical monitor, and so did my temporary LG ultrawide. I did a quick test by plugging the monitor into the back of the motherboard, and I unplugged the top ultrawide to see what would happen, and hallelujah, we were back in action. Also, quick side note, yes, I know that I could technically plug the top OLED into the back of the motherboard, but that caps my refresh rate at 85 Hz, which is a severe bottleneck. I'd much rather downsize to something else in the meantime if I'm not able to take advantage of the full 240 Hz display. Anyways, I went ahead and took everything back down from the setup. I unscrewed the mount for the top ultrawide and I slid it off the headboard. After swapping the mounts and loosening up the headboard, I managed to replace the previous monitor's power cable with the new one before tightening the screws on the headboard back in place. Then I hung up the new ultrawide, and finally,